Have you ever imagined encountering an unexpected mystery during a simple walk in the forest? Today, you will follow the surprising story of someone who went out in search of flowers and ended up stumbling upon an abandoned airplane in the middle of the woods. What he found inside is simply shocking and will leave you speechless. Let's explore every detail of this unusual discovery. What could have led an airplane to be abandoned there? And more importantly, what was found inside it? Get ready to be surprised and intrigued by the secrets this aircraft holds. If you enjoy mysterious stories full of twists and turns, don't go anywhere. Have you ever found something unexpected in an unlikely place? Leave a comment and share your stories. And of course, subscribe to the Stories That Touch channel so you don't miss any details of this and other incredible stories we bring to you. Jack Thompson had always been passionate about botany, dedicating his free time to searching for rare flowers for his extensive collection. He was a middle-aged man with an adventurous spirit and an insatiable curiosity for the unknown. On a sunny weekend, Jack decided to explore a dense and little-known forest said to harbor unique biodiversity. Armed with his botany kit and a camera, he set out on his adventure, eager to document every new discovery. The forest, known as Silverwood, was famous among local botanists for its exotic plants and little-explored trails. Upon entering the main trail, Jack was immediately captivated by the serenity of the environment. The sound of birds and the rustling of leaves created a natural symphony that accompanied him as he walked. He knew this would not be a simple walk. Silverwood had a reputation for hiding many secrets. Jack followed an old trail, almost invisible due to the vegetation covering it. He carefully observed the flowers around him, each one more fascinating than the last. Some of them he had never seen before, which only increased his excitement. Jack frequently stopped to photograph and collect samples, immersed in his own world of botanical discoveries. As he progressed, the trail became increasingly difficult to follow. The dense vegetation and low branches made the walk slow and exhausting. However, Jack was determined to go deeper into the forest, motivated by the possibility of finding something truly extraordinary. With each step, he wondered what kinds of plants were still undiscovered, hidden in the depths of Silverwood. It was then, after a few hours of walking, that something different caught his attention. Among the trees, something was shining unusually. Initially, Jack thought it might be a piece of abandoned metal, or perhaps a plant with reflective leaves. Curious, he decided to investigate more closely, deviating from the main trail and venturing further into the forest. As he approached, Jack realized that the shiny object was neither a plant nor a common piece of metal. It was something much larger and more intriguing. Jack's heart raced as he got closer, trying to understand what he was seeing. The vegetation began to give way, revealing the silhouette of a large object partially covered by leaves and branches. Jack could hardly believe his eyes. When he finally got closer, the full vision was revealed. It was a small airplane, apparently abandoned for decades. The plane was rusty, with parts of its fuselage covered in moss and vegetation. Jack felt a mix of excitement and apprehension as he realized the magnitude of what he had found. The simple walk through the forest had turned into an unexpected and potentially dangerous discovery. Jack knew he needed to explore more thoroughly and carefully to uncover the secrets of this mysterious plane. Jack was faced with an enigma. The airplane, a small single-engine aircraft, seemed to have been swallowed by the forest over the years. The paint was peeling, and the airline's logo was almost illegible, covered by layers of dirt and vegetation. He circled the aircraft carefully, observing every detail. The doors were slightly ajar, and the windows, dusty and broken, gave a partial view of the dark, claustrophobic interior. The scene was both fascinating and unsettling. As he examined the exterior of the plane, Jack noticed scratch marks on the fuselage, as if someone or something had tried to force the doors open. This piqued his curiosity and, at the same time, aroused a slight sense of danger. Who else could have been there? He decided to enter, driven by the desire to learn more about the history of that abandoned plane. Carefully, Jack pushed the main door, which creaked loudly, breaking the silence of the forest. The interior of the plane was in total disarray. Open suitcases, clothes scattered on the floor, and yellowed documents everywhere. There was a smell of mold and decay that filled the air. Jack used the flashlight on his phone to illuminate the environment, revealing details that only deepened the mystery. One of the first things that caught his attention was a set of seats partially burned. He wondered if there might have been a fire on the plane before it was abandoned. On the floor next to the seats, he found a flight log, burnt around the edges. He carefully picked up the log and began to flip through the remaining pages. The first entries were routine, reporting the flight plan and weather conditions. However, the last pages contained disturbing accounts. The final writings described a violent storm that forced an emergency landing. The passengers and crew had been stranded in the middle of the forest, trying to survive with limited supplies. There were mentions of strange sounds and sightings of mysterious figures near the plane, which terrified those who remained. The last entry abruptly ended, as if the author had been interrupted. As Jack delved deeper into the log, he realized that this discovery was more complex than it seemed. The plane was not just a forgotten relic. It carried a story of despair and mystery. Jack felt a chill as he thought about the people who had been there, struggling to survive under such adverse circumstances. What had happened to them? What were the sounds and figures described in the log? Determined to leave no stone unturned, Jack continued his exploration. He found a rudimentary hand-drawn map, with an X marking a point deep in the forest. Was this the final destination of the survivors? Or perhaps a place of interest that could explain the mysteries of the log? Jack knew he had to follow this new lead, even if it meant facing unknown dangers. With the log and the map in hand, Jack left the plane's interior and returned to the clearing. The sun was beginning to set, casting long, sinister shadows around the aircraft. He realized he should set up camp and prepare for the next stage of his journey in the morning. As he pitched his tent, he couldn't stop thinking about the revelations of the log and the possible answers the map could bring. The real adventure was just beginning. Jack returned to the spot where he had set up his initial camp, still reflecting on the magnitude of what he had discovered. He knew he needed to share this story, not only for its historical value, but to warn about the dangers of uncontrolled technologies and the impacts they can have on the environment and people. As he dismantled his tent and packed his belongings, he mentally organized the next steps. Upon leaving the forest, Jack began to formulate theories about the events that led to the plane's abandonment and the establishment of the outpost. The emergency landing had probably occurred during a period of intense storm, forcing the pilot to make an unscheduled landing in a remote area. The passengers and crew, realizing they were isolated, must have tried to find help, only to discover the sinister secret operation in the forest. The connection between the plane and the outpost seemed clear now. The strange sounds and mysterious figures were hallucinations induced by the low-frequency experiments of the generator. The tragedy of the survivors was intertwined with the desperate acts of the scientists, trapped by their own creation. Jack imagined the terror the passengers and crew must have felt upon realizing they were being manipulated by a technology they did not understand. He remembered the footprints he had found near the plane, now aware that they were the marks of survivors trying to escape the horrors induced by the generator. The letters and photographs found at the camp revealed the courageous efforts of ordinary people in an extraordinary situation. They were victims of a storm, but also of a cruel and inhumane experiment. Jack also pondered the responsibility of the scientists. Were they following orders, or were they agents of their own curiosity and ambition? The entries in the scientist's diary showed regret and fear, suggesting that even they had not foreseen the consequences of their actions. The decision to destroy the generator, never realized, was a last-ditch effort to contain the disaster they had unleashed. Determined to bring this story to the public, Jack meticulously documented everything he had found. He took photos, made detailed notes, and recorded explanatory videos. He knew he would need concrete evidence to support his claims. Additionally, he decided to seek the help of historians and aviation experts to validate his discoveries and provide a broader context. As he finally left the forest, Jack felt a mixture of relief and purpose. He had uncovered a mystery, but he had also taken on the responsibility of sharing this story with the world. The path back to civilization seemed shorter now, driven by the urgency to tell what he had found. Each step brought him closer to a new beginning, where the past and present would meet through his narrative. Back in his city, Jack gathered all his materials and began compiling a comprehensive report of his expedition. He knew he needed to be careful and meticulous to ensure the story was told accurately and respectfully. As he reviewed his notes and videos, He felt a deep connection with the passengers of the plane and the scientists. Their lives were now intertwined by the discovery and the responsibility to remember and learn. Jack presented his findings to a group of local historians, aviation experts, and journalists. The initial reaction was skepticism, but as he showed his evidence, the photographs, the scientist's diary, the documents from the outpost, the disbelief began to dissipate. The story of the abandoned plane in Silverwood and the secret experiments took shape, with each detail reinforcing the complex and disturbing narrative. The historians were fascinated by the historical documents, especially the scientist's diary, which provided a glimpse into the secret operations during the Cold War. Aviation experts confirmed the authenticity of the plane and agreed that an emergency landing in the forest was plausible given the described conditions. The combination of evidence created a clear and convincing picture of what had happened. The journalists were captivated by the human story, the struggle for survival, the desperation of the passengers, and the scientists' final attempt to correct their mistake. Jack's narrative was not just about a mystery solved, but about the lessons learned and the memories preserved. Articles began to be written, documentaries were planned, and the story of the abandoned plane started to reach a wider audience. As the story spread, it became a subject of public fascination. People were drawn to the tale of an ordinary man who stumbled upon an extraordinary secret. The details of the emergency landing, the experiments, and the fight for survival in the forest were compelling. Jack's thorough documentation provided a solid foundation for further investigation and discussion. Through his dedication, Jack ensured that the passengers and crew of the abandoned plane, as well as the scientists, were remembered. Their story was no longer lost in the depths of Silverwood, but brought to light for the world to see. The public response was overwhelming, with many expressing their admiration for Jack's courage and perseverance. In the months that followed, the story of the abandoned plane continued to resonate. Academic papers were written, public talks were held, and exhibitions were organized. Jack was invited to speak at conferences and events, sharing his experience and the significance of his discovery. His findings sparked debates about the ethics of scientific experimentation and the importance of transparency and accountability. Ultimately, Jack's discovery did more than solve a mystery. It highlighted the need to remember the past and learn from it. It showed the impact of unchecked technological advancements and the human cost of secretive operations. Jack's meticulous work ensured that the story of the abandoned plane in Silverwood would not be forgotten, serving as a reminder of the fragile balance between progress and humanity. With his story now public, Jack felt he had fulfilled his duty. He created a YouTube channel called Historias que Tocan, Stories That Touch, to share his future discoveries and keep the flame of curiosity and knowledge alive. In his closing video, he thanked viewers for following his journey and expressed hope that the story of the abandoned plane would serve as a reminder of the impact of technology and the importance of understanding our past. Jack promised to continue bringing fascinating stories and intriguing mysteries to his viewers, exploring other mysterious locations, such as a ghost town in the desert and a shipwreck in deep waters. Each new video promised to be an exciting and educational journey. He encouraged viewers to subscribe to the channel, leave comments, and share their own stories and mysteries. Inviting everyone to send in suggestions for places to explore, Jack made a clear call to action. If you enjoyed this story and want to follow the next adventures, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and turn on notifications. Together, we will continue uncovering the world's secrets and preserving the stories that touch our hearts. Until next time. The screen faded to black, and the Historias que Tocan logo appeared, accompanied by soft and mysterious music. Jack knew that the journey was just beginning, and that many other stories awaited discovery and sharing with the world. He began planning his next big adventure, eager to take his viewers along with him every step of the way. And so, the story of Jack ends. Did you enjoy this intriguing story about the abandoned plane in Silverwood? If you were surprised by the discoveries and want to see more adventures like this, leave your like and subscribe to the Historias que Tocan channel. What did you find most interesting?